This little preface to the whole video. There's parts in there where I'm getting kind of rambly, so I'm going to put some time tags in the description, and so kind of explaining what went on when I was rambling. I made some points, but I did kind of ramble, and I'll explain what basically all that rambling was about. Going out to conference report. Make this a quick one, I hope. The red button of torture followed by death video. Okay, just going to play this part at the beginning. I skipped back. I'll put this in the front and then add what I already did to the end. And here's you're going to explain the thought experiment quite properly. And yeah.
Red button argument. Broadly speaking, based in negative utilitarianism, but I know it spills out of that. Basically, first off, the idea that suffering is inevitably bad or inevitably negative. That's the first premise, yes. Secondly, that sentience, and I would agree with, I've got some caveats, but I would agree with that. Secondly, that sentience inevitably contains suffering. I would go stronger than that. I would say it's constituted by suffering. And out of those two premises, in order to reduce suffering, you reduce the amount of sentience in the world. Am I right so far?
Well, I mean, yeah, the end game, though, is to eliminate, not just to reduce.
So the ultimate moral act, of course, would be to reduce all sentient activity on the planet, ideally in the universe if there's any out there, but certainly on the planet, in order to reduce the amount of suffering to zero.
Okay, yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
So, in terms of a thought experiment, we have a red button in front of us. You press the red button, everybody in the planet instantaneously and painlessly goes to sleep. You've wished the world away, and sentience is no more. Ipso facto, suffering is no more. Is that right?
Yes. Perfect.
I'm guessing yes.
Well, more or less
okay,
perfect.
I want to just run through that again, but kind of in reverse, and look at some of the premises. Okay, since the reduction of suffering is going to be good, and the growth of suffering, the increase in the amount of suffering is going to be bad, then any reduction in the amount of suffering, you don't need to be total, does it? A moral agent doing the right thing would want any suffering to be reduced.
Okay, that's where you got into the whole thing about, 100 people, 10 people, one person. So if you could reduce suffering by killing one person, then it would be a moral thing to do. But I'm going on the stuff coming up, I'll be explaining why that doesn't work. So, yeah. I didn't say thanks at the end. Thanks for watching. And at about 4:22, you're changing the thought experiment. The thought experiment, the antinatalist community is proposing is a simple one. You got this. You have an opportunity to push a button that will extinguish all life on Earth quickly and painlessly. You reduce it to one person. You're saying that killing one person will reduce suffering, and I don't know if you're going to prove that statement. I doubt you can. I mean, you kill one person. It complicates the argument. I mean, the thought experiment. So, yeah. Well, I did a comment. What did I say? Well, shit. Right. So in the thought experiment, if I don't hit the button, I am now taking on responsibility for. Well, I'm kind of gotten sidetracked here. What was I talking about? Yeah, killing one person complicates it. Well, yeah, why is that complicated? Because you don't know that person's future. I mean, I was going over this with I forget the guy's name. He was changing the thought experiment too. Lost my train of thought again. Anyhow, yeah, I'm gonna have to. Shit. Damn it. At 4:22 of your video. Yeah, how does it complicate it? We don't know if that person has family or friends or has goals, and of course goals is, yeah, that comes into play if you're only talking about one person. But if you're talking about taking about everybody, the goals are irrelevant. Everybody, I mean, the only goals you could have would be to, like, reduce suffering. That'd be a good goal, but there's no one left to suffer, so your goals would have to be, you know, something on the, reducing suffering. But, you know, yeah, that's right, AN is saying the end goal is, yeah, the end of all life. That's the end goal of antinatalism. That is what will happen. We will be extinct. Everybody will be gone. Now, if we just, you know, let nature take its course and just don't reproduce, there's going to be some suffering, because there's people already here, so there's going to be suffering. Which is a problem, but I mean, if we really die off real quick, some people could suffer quite a bit, but that doesn't change the fact that the argument is still sound. You shouldn't bring another person into a hurtful world. Well, I guess I can go ahead and play this.
Suffering, and you know, and that's going to be awful, isn't it? Not just myself, I'll probably inflict suffering on the people around me as well. So it would be an enormously beneficial moral act to reduce the amount of sentience in this planet by one person.
No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. See, you're still saying it. No, you can't guarantee that if you just take out one person, the suffering will be reduced. For that person you take out, the suffering will be reduced, but it all depends on, again, what I think I mentioned before, what are your goals? I mean, if your goals were to rape as many women as you could before you died, then yeah, it'd be a good thing that you died. If your goal was to reduce suffering, well, pushing the button does the job.
Pressing that button which takes me out instantaneously and painlessly. Yes?
No.
I mean, this is the logic so far.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, let's look at that last bit. Let's look at the instantaneously and painlessly bit. Because I've got 20 years of suffering I've got in front of me. And that's just me, not the suffering
yeah, right.
Other people.
That's just you. But, like I said, if you don't have any family or friends or goals, any worthwhile goals, and any worthwhile goal wouldn't matter once you push the button.
God, that's a lot. I mean, I don't know how you'd even begin to measure that. I don't know what the measurement of suffering is, what an appropriate unit of measurement would be.
Well, you changed the thought experiment. You've made it more complex, and it's hard. That's a harder question to answer. So, I don't know. I don't know what this. You changed it, and that's not fair, I guess, is what I'm saying. Don't go back to the thought experiment. Life is just sentient beings being brought into the world, suffering, struggling to survive, and then dying over and over again. It makes sense to stop that. It seems rational, that, you know, virtuous. I don't know. Well, I don't
know. Let's call it
exactly. You don't know because you just complicated the situation.
Let's call it a Noki. Noki after Noki receptors, which are the pain receptors. Let's say in the next 20 years I would acquire 1,000 knockies of pain. That's a huge amount of pain. All those toothaches and arthritis pains and, and the broken fingers. And
again, you're still talking about your own suffering. If we don't push the button, a whole bunch of other people are going to be going through what it is you're talking about.
And the razor nicks and pin pricks and the burns and
well, see, you can't be serious.
Things hit me on the back of the head because I stuck stuff in the back seat of the car and braked too fast and it's flown forward and hit me in the back of the head. You know, all the things that stubbed my toe, and of course diseases.
Yeah, you gotta wait for it. It takes a while for that to pop up. Anyhow, shit. Yeah, you're reducing the really big suffering that's going to happen by other sentient beings if we don't push the button. That's you know.
Disease, all the times I've impaled myself in nails in the next 20 years, and that's not counting all the mental suffering, all the heartbreaks the next 20 years have for me. That's a huge amount of pain. So any reduction on that
well,
is going to be...
the amount of pain of everybody else just multiplies that. So again, if you don't push the button, what you're talking about, all this suffering is going to just increase. And just looking at yours complicates the situation. I'm repeating myself. I'm sorry.
The cost-benefit analysis is going to be positive, yeah? So even if I don't,
well,
even if that button you've got that will kill me, even if it doesn't...
I guess that's enough of the video for now. You know. Yeah, I mean, I've spent I don't know how long talking about the fact that you've changed the thought experiment. So, yeah. So I guess, you know, I'm still waiting for, you know, that critical, shit, what's the term? Constructive criticism. Yeah, I mean, that's what you're talking about. You think we need some constructive criticism. Well, yeah, I guess. No, I shouldn't have said that. Cut that. Let's see the constructive criticism. Thanks. Till next time. And such. Okay, moving on.
Got that will kill me, even if it doesn't take me out instantly and painlessly, even if I have to suffer toothache for 20 minutes, it's still got to be better than 1,000 knockies of pain. Oh my God, what a... Phew.
Well, see, I mean, you've introduced this new unit of measurement, the knockie. I mean, you're asking us in your thought experiment. We need a crystal ball to look at your entire life from, you know, whatever your 20 years you got, and that it's just, you're just looking at how much pain you're going to have. What about the pain? I think I've already said it. The pain of the people left behind that are going to suffer your loss. What about are you going to prevent any suffering in the future? You know, it makes the thought experiment more complicated. You got antinatalism that says don't impose on a sentient creature by not bringing them into the world. You got Efilism, which is basically looking at the end game of antinatalism, which is extinction. Pushing the red button that extinguishes all life. There's nothing left. I mean, you've eliminated all suffering. Again, if you're just talking about one person, it's more complicated. It's harder to answer.
Massive saving, yeah. In fact, we can go a bit higher than that 20 minutes of toothache. We can go quite a bit higher. In fact, we can go right
No, we
up to
can't.
999 knockies of pain, can't we?
No, we
For
can't.
the next 20 years, every bit of pain and mental suffering and physical torment and everything I will suffer that's negative in the next 20 years.
But what about, like I say, you know, the people that are being left behind that are going to suffer your loss? And what about, are you going to prevent any suffering in those 20 years? It's a more difficult calculation. Again, we need some sort of crystal ball. If we had this crystal ball and we could somehow do your Naki calculation, maybe. Well, no, because see, you're saying that, you know, inflicting harm on somebody already here, you know, involuntarily, it doesn't fit antinatalism or Efilism. So again, your thought experiment it's too hard to answer.
Could almost be compressed into the next 5 minutes of my life, as long as it's just a little bit less than.
Yeah, you can. So what? You're saying torturing someone to death is somehow the same thought experiment as just wiping everybody out instantly, painlessly. It's not even close to the same thing.
1,999 knockies of pain and suffering compressed into one intense moment of excruciating agony, followed by death. By your own lights, the logic that you have built this argument from, you would press a button right now.
No, I don't think so. It doesn't fit either antinatalism or Nephilism. It doesn't fit. I can't see. You've completely changed everything.
Which would inflict excruciating agony on me, followed by my death, and you would say that is a moral act.
Nope, you can't say that. Well, hopefully I've already explained it, but no, it's not the same thing. Torturing somebody to death does not fit in with antinatalism or Efilism. Just doesn't.
The logic that you're talking about right now.
It's not.
This is why they have a bit of a problem with it. If you can't see that, I'm sorry.
Well, I can see. Yeah, if what you're saying, I would say you're straw manning us. That's not what we're saying. You got antinatalism, which says don't breed because you're just opening the door to harm. Efilism says there's a big problem here. We got animals to deal with as well. They're suffering, and we need to somehow. I mean, that would be a big job trying to sterilize all the animals. It's like I say, if we had a button that could just end it all, not torturing everybody to death, just end it. So I don't see how your scenario fits in either one of those.
Now, the physicist Stephen Weinberg, who is a great physicist, but also a secularist and atheist, rationalist, he says this thing about good and evil. He said, in an ideal world, in a normal world, good people would do good things and evil people would do evil things. But for good people to do evil things, that takes religion, he says.
Well, see, like again, I don't think, how is hitting the red button evil? Quickly and painlessly, everybody is wiped out. No one left to mourn. Nobody's going to be brought into this death mill. The game's over. How is that evil? Besides, apparently, I've infringed on your rights because you don't want to die. But like I said, I got the red button. If I don't push the red button, all that suffering that's going to happen as a result of me not pushing the red button will be on my shoulders. So if I don't push the red button, and the next day a child is kidnapped, raped, and murdered, that would be on me. So I didn't push the red button. I'm supposed to allow something like that to happen because, infringe on your rights, or I'm supposed to respect your rights and let that happen. That's why I've been asking. Why is your right or anybody's right to live have more weight than a child being kidnapped, raped, and murdered? That's what you're asking me to do, or anybody that has the red button in front of them. You're asking them not to do it because you want to live, and you want to live so that I'm sure you don't want the child to get kidnapped, raped, and murdered. That's what, if I don't push the button, that's going to happen. Something like that is going to happen. I'll stop that from happening before I respect your right to live.
He's making an anti-theist statement. For good people to do evil things takes religion. I would extend that to ideology. I'd maybe even extend it to some versions of a kind of technology lust. But this is where we're going with this. I mean, do you think, answer this straightforwardly if you can, do you think it would be better to inflict excruciating pain on me personally, followed by my death?
No.
In order to save the next 20 years of my suffering?
No. Because I don't know, the calculation, again, is too much. I mean, you're just talking about your personal suffering in those 20 years. Well, I'm repeating myself, but are you gonna prevent any suffering in that 20 years? And your friends and family, they're gonna suffer. I mean, how do you calculate? It's hard to calculate suffering. I mean, I can look at suffering and say, there's no the suffering of one child being kidnapped, raped, and murdered. It has more weight than any pleasure I can think of. I mean, I can't think of one. So as long as I can't think of one, that has the pain of that child has more weight. Now, if someone can provide me some pleasure they can think of, then I can change my mind. I can say, oh well, yeah, pleasure and pain kind of balance out. But as it stands, they don't balance out. Pain has more weight.
There's only two answers to that. Either you think it is okay, in which case why aren't you doing it? Why aren't you out there murdering people right now?
Just like what I said, if I kill somebody, everybody has friends and family, as far as I know. I mean, or if they don't have friends and family, maybe they have some goals of preventing suffering. But the calculation is just I can't go kill somebody unless I know for sure that no suffering will come from that. And I just can't know that. But pushing the red button, killing everybody, that's different. Killing everybody quickly and painlessly is different. There's nobody left to suffer. The suffering ends when you push the button. All suffering ends.
They're just too chicken shit to face the consequences. Or is there something else? Because I want to get back to something else as well. There's a problem with what you're arguing there.
Well, there's a problem with what you're arguing, actually, but anyhow, thanks for watching.